Well, I really didn't need another project, but this was one that I absolutely had to have back. I know this sounds stupid, but this was mine. It's actually my wife and I's for several years. And when she got cancer, we still had it, and I had made several modifications to it. It's a 2001 Suburban. I guess maybe I ought to start there. And it's four-wheel drive. But I had a lot of cars, and there's some stuff I didn't need. And when she got better and stuff, we were feeling pretty good, you know. So we went ahead and give this to some people that we knew that were kind of down and out, and we let them use it for a little while, and then it finally just got to the point where, you know, it's just easier just to give it to them. So that's what we did. So with that said, it's a half-ton, four-wheel drive, like I said. It's missing the driving lights now at the bottom. They were both replaced. I don't see them. I see a wire hanging down underneath there. There's green algae everywhere because it has sat for many years. I would say 3 or 4. When I had it, the clear coat wasn't coming off of it, which it is in several places now. It did have some hail on the hood, which of course it still has, and like the typical GM seat, it's a little worse than it was, but that's basically what it looked like. Looks like it was holding moisture on top of that. Either that they spilled something on it, not sure which. The headliner's now coming down. Like I said, it's very dirty. I don't know the mileage on it. I'm gonna have to look because I don't know. I didn't even look. When they called me finally and said come and get it because it had been sitting so long, I jumped on it immediately, took a battery over there, and being a Chevrolet in its own little world, like I said, I'm a Chevy guy, I'm an LS guy. This thing within 3 minutes of pulling up in their driveway, I put a battery in it, checked the body fluids, it started up, it died several times till I give it some gas because it hadn't been run. I guess the computer lost its mind, but it still ran fine, idled. Then after a couple minutes it was idling, and I let it sit there and run for 3 or 4 minutes. We talked, and then my wife had to go back to work, so she took the Avalanche home, and I followed her there. So this wheel's been replaced. This is obviously the spare. The lug nuts were left loose from a previous. They actually had borrowed my car trailer at the time, tore up my car trailer, lost the wheel. I had put the spare on it for them at one point, and then they took it up to a place in Independence. They didn't tell me who it was. They had the tire replaced, and the tire then fell off of it, broke all the studs, tore up my trailer. That's how that works. It had previous body damage. That gap was always real wide down there. I'm not sure what happened, but that was like that when I got it. Now, the reason they quit driving it was because of this, and it's pretty bad. It's gapped stuff out. It's made where the door wouldn't open anymore. The bumper's sticking out quite a bit. But she pulled out in front of somebody running probably 45 mile an hour in a semi, and he tried to get her shut down, but obviously it didn't. And it's been sitting like this without being covered the last 1.5 or 2 years. So it's pretty rough. It's not worth putting back on the road, I don't believe. But it's been left open to the elements. I'm not sure, what would be, to me, it's being a 2001. It's not worth cutting that quarter off and then seeing if I could get that stretched back out enough and put rear doors on when it already has hail damage and had previous damage. And now that I'm looking at it, I see some rust bubbles coming through out on that rocker. Again, that wasn't like that when we had it, but that's kind of the nature of these, especially when it's not kept clean and took care of. So anyway, the damage is severe. It's pushed this in to where, look at the gap here. This door is not open, so it's not worth to me fixing. They're not designed to be hit like that. I know you really can't tell, but it's and it has rear heat and AC, and I assume it's holding antifreeze, but the air conditioner doesn't work, which with that big gaping hole, yes, it doesn't make any difference. Can't tell if the door's open. Yeah, it was left open. Okay, but anyway, they aired the tires up for me because they were all flat when I drove by there when they called me a couple days ago. We had family in town and couldn't get it till today. But okay, now when I told you I did modifications to it, obviously that air cleaner is now cracked and no good. This is actually the second one on this. That is not what I did. I know it's hard to see, but you see the wrap on the headers. Yes, those are stainless long tube. There's no more air beater fan. It's got electric cooling fans. The wiring looks like crap, but I put twin electric cooling fans on it. Got an aftermarket 80mm throttle body. It has no cats. It's been dyno tuned. I took this to Tulsa to somebody. I can't remember the name of the company now. It's been so many years ago, and we did put it on the dyno, and he did several pulls on there and tuned it for us on on 91 octane E10, and it put, I'm trying to remember, it was 278, almost 279, let's call it 278 horse and 335 torque to the rear tires, and it's four-wheel drive. You add 25% parasitic loss to 30, I don't know what it is, it's 20 to 30%, I'm not really sure, but let's just say 25%. You add that back in, that's close to 350 horse, over 400 torque at the flywheel, and it is a 6-liter. That's not a 5.3. That is a 6-liter. I don't know if I said that a minute ago, but you can't tell. I won't be able to show you until I pull it apart, but I am going to pull this engine. But all I did was I had to replace the plug wire. It's really bad about eating plug wires right there. I didn't put enough of that heat deal wrap on there, and it burns number 6 plug wire all the time. I kept 2 or 3 extras myself, and this is how it came apart. So it had a miss. I just went ahead and drove it home. It was just around the block. So, but then it came apart in pieces when I was trying to get it apart. But just I mean, this thing actually being a Chevy, even after sitting all those years. There's no camera, nothing in it, but those headers and stuff make this thing sound real good. She winds up quick, still holds really good oil pressure. Let's see how many miles are on the actual body. 185. I think I give it to them with 165 on it, so they put 20,000 miles on it. But go back here to the exhaust. It has a 50 series Flowmaster on it. Like I said, it doesn't have any cats. It's really cold out today. That's why I should steam it, because I think it's 42, but got a really good sound to it. This thing was fun. I guarantee it was the only four-wheel drive Suburban in town that would take off across the intersection sideways, and that's exactly what this thing would do. But it's too bad it was let go this way, because I mean, it was a sunroof, leather, heated seats, all that stuff worked when we got rid of it. But it's you know, it's covered with mold, which, you know, that's not uncommon, algae, mold, whatever. But I really, with the amount of money and time I spent into this, because I actually put 2 6-liters in this because I burned the first one up. So this is actually out of an 04 van. Never used any fluids, never dripped anything. Of course, I put a new rear main seal and water pump and all that stuff on it when I put it in. But man, these things are just hard to beat. This thing sounds good and runs good. So I drove it home, like I said, the block away. I can't drive it, A, because it's not tagged very far legally, but number 2 is that air cleaner. I actually did that same thing with the one that was on there. These old Chinese ones, if you don't keep them oiled up, they'll start coming apart. And I happened to notice this one day. When I was servicing it, I pulled it off there, and some of the blue stuff was actually missing, and then you could see it sucked up into the intake. So I bought another. I had to buy the whole thing, but they're only like 60-70 bucks on eBay. And like I said, that one's gone now. I had to buy it for this. I had the whole tube and everything. I gave it to a friend of mine for his project. But anyway, to get this, to get this fixed wouldn't be worth it. So decisions made that I'm just going to part it, and I now have another 6-liter. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Boy, that'd be fun in that. That 5.3 is fine, but like I said, it had over 300,000 miles on it when I put it in that car. And the way it's geared and everything, boy, wouldn't mind to have a little bit more bottom end. So who knows? That might be a future possibility, or I may find something else. I would love to have my neighbor's pickup sitting over there, and I had an 06. I know I said this before. I had an 06 crew cab, that same color, that pewter color. The motor's out of that one back here. You see it back here, like I said, jacked up. 5.3 went bad on it, and I had a head gasket go bad, and they drove it till it quit. So he's putting a motor in it. It doesn't have one of it. It's got that little 5'3" bed on it. You know, crew cab, 2-wheel drive. Boy, those are fun with a 6-liter in them. A little bit of modifications and stuff, and boy, they're fun in those trucks. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'll just keep you posting on it. It's a shame it come to this, because this was my first LS, and it's just a crying shame that it you know, was let to go this way. And she wrecked. I hate to say this, she wrecked everything else they had. Everything in the past. They had a couple of BMW X5s, and she was just really hard. Just don't pay attention, and that's what happened here. She went across a really busy, dangerous intersection that didn't stop one way, and it was 45 through there, and it's a highway. It's not like a, you know, back road. And she pulled out in front of a semi, and he tried to shut down, but he still hit her about 25-30 mile an hour. And although that doesn't sound like a lot, when you're pushing 80,000 pounds, 20 mile an hour is fast enough. So anyway, with that said, you know, it's done its toll. So anyway, I'll keep you posted on this project. Not sure when I'll get back to it, but at least I've got it back.